Well, look, first and foremost, Jackie, I think to help your listeners understand exactly what Angel Flight is about, Angel Flight is a charity organisation that is supported by thousands of volunteer private pilots and aircraft owners right around Australia who give up their time, their aircraft resources to help transport individuals and family members who are in need of medical treatment. These are not emergency medical flights. These are not an air ambulance operation. They're a private flight in which private pilots help out persons, individuals, family members, loved ones within remote and regional Australia, transporting them to metropolitan areas for medical assistance. And I guess a perfect example of that is there is a young girl who is located at Mount Isa who is required to travel twice to Brisbane to receive treatment. And this is performed by an Angel Flight pilot and their aircraft, which is about a 3-hour flight each way via that service. And if they weren't able to have access to that Angel Flight service, this young girl would be required to fly either by a commercial airline service, which would cost $800 return, so $1,600 a week in airline tickets, or $6,400 a month in airline tickets. Or if they're unable to afford that airline transport, they would then be required to travel by road, which is a 19-hour, 46-minute trip, which would need to be split over 2 days, meaning each medical appointment is a 4-day round trip. Now, that kind of transport via the road is wholly unreasonable and places the individuals behind the wheel at risk. And so these Angel Flight services are an invaluable community function in which we're helping these young people and adults alike maintain their medical appointments, which of course is giving them quality of life.
But there have been 2 fatal Angel Flight incidents in recent years, and CASA believes that insufficient progress has been made on safety improvements to date, and that the safety benefits of the proposed standards significantly outweigh the requirements being imposed. How do you respond to that concern of CASA's?
Look, the concern with respect to the 2 accidents, and first and foremost what I'd like to say is that the 2 accidents are incredibly tragic, and everybody within the aviation industry would like to see accidents stamped out. The problem we specifically have with the changes that CASA has proposed is that when we overlay the changes that they are recommending against those 2 accidents, none of the changes would have prevented those 2 accidents from occurring. And what we know from the investigations on those accidents is that, unfortunately, both were due to pilot error, and they were of no fault to the Angel Flight organisation, the charity network. And, of course, when we're in a situation in which we have a safety regulator proposing to implement changes that have no relevance to preventing the accidents that occurred, we have to question why these changes are being rafted onto the industry. And I think everybody in aviation would understand that if CASA were looking to put forward a host of recommendations that would directly prevent those kinds of accidents, we would support them. But when we have proposed changes that have no bearing or relevance, we can't support these changes. And in fact, if we allow the changes as prescribed to go ahead, what we will see is we will see thousands of private pilots and aircraft owners withdraw from the Angel Flight service because CASA will be making the Angel Flight volunteering an unsustainable and too onerous for people to continue.
Because it would be expensive to meet their requirements? Well,
look, they're trying to impose, for example, on aircraft engines, they would like to impose maintenance requirements that are exceptionally high and are unnecessary. We do not have in this country a history of engine failures and problems with engines in these aircraft, and yet we have CASA saying, no, we want to implement a much higher standard. I mean, you've got to look at this in a logical sense. If we were having a demonstrated history of problems with aircraft engines, we would be supportive of implementing regulations that would improve that situation. But we don't have that problem, and so everyone's scratching their head saying, why are these changes being forced on the industry? And so we can't support them.
The consultation period on this closes tomorrow. Have you had a lot of feedback from Angel Flight pilots on this?
The entire general aviation community, I believe, at this time are up in arms about these changes, and nobody is wanting to support them. And I think what we need to understand in this is an attack on regional families and remote families that are in regional and remote areas of Australia. And if these changes are allowed to continue and be put into regulation, then we're going to see thousands of people stranded without the ability to have meaningful access to medical care. And I think that what we really want to see happen here is we want to see the volunteer network in Australia be allowed to continue to provide this vital service. At the same time, I understand through our direct communications with Angel Flight that they are absolutely committed to aviation safety and that they have been working vigorously behind the scenes to ensure that the standards are there to support the forward movement. But unfortunately, there appears to be a breakdown in the way in which the Civil Aviation Safety Authority have played themselves forward. They have rafted through changes in late December after Parliament had risen in a methodology that we believe has been designed to subvert political influence and allow the regulator to proceed unabated. What we want to see take place at this point in time is a proper consultation on the issues, a proper debate on the issues to determine if, in fact, these types of changes are needed. And the only way that we can do that is for CASA to set up appropriate committees so that we can discuss those needs. And if the needs are genuine, of course, the industry will support it.